Hi, I'm Kiki, and this is Keeper Talks with Kiki, and today we're going to talk about otters. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Keeper Talks with Kiki. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions for this week. I can't wait to get into answering them. And thank you so much to everyone who shared the last episode of Keeper Talks with Kiki about wolves with your friends and with your family. It means so much to me. This week we're going to talk about otters. You guys requested them. There are 13 different species of otters in the world, and those range from the giant otter, which can be 6 feet in length, to the Asian small-clawed otter, which only gets about 2 feet long. So there's a lot of range in these different species, but out of all 13, only 2 are found in saltwater environments, that being sea otters and marine otters. These sleek carnivores are part of the mustelid family. That means they're related to skunks, wolverines, badgers, ferrets. They're all grouped into the same family group together. So they're pretty feisty little animals, and they're really, really good hunters. Otters have strong, sleek tails that they use to propel themselves through the water, as well as long whiskers, which help them feel their way through environments and find prey in murky or dark waters. They also have some of the densest fur of any animals on Earth. Sea otters actually having the densest fur with up to 1 million hairs per square inch. Now that really helps insulate them when they're swimming in really cold waters against those temperature changes that they might encounter, especially when diving into deeper, colder water. Now that you've got a basic understanding of what otters are and kind of what they do, I'm going to go ahead and start answering some of your questions. Now, Randall asked if there are any otters that you can find in Georgia, and there are. River otters are native to all of North America and can be found in river systems throughout North America, all across the United States especially. Now, these otters are notorious for building burrows along the riverside where they'll have multiple tunnels that lead to different areas of the river. In those rivers, they're going to hunt for fish, turtles, amphibians, and any sort of like crayfish that they can find to gnaw on. So they're carnivorous mammals that are really excellent hunters in river systems. River otters are also called a bioindicator for ecosystems. And what that means is when the ecosystem starts to decline, pollutants start to enter the water system, or prey levels start to drop, river otters will abandon the ecosystem to find a better environment. Now, that's a quick alert system to scientists who are studying the river system if they notice that river otters have abandoned the area, and it can kind of clue them into environmental changes that they may not have noticed if the river otters hadn't abandoned ship. Taryn asked if river otters would have an adverse reaction to living in a saltwater environment. Now, they definitely would have a difficult time adapting to that. They're very adapted towards river living. So the saltwater ecosystem and the coastal ecosystem is very different from what they're adapted to, and even the prey are different from what they're adapted to. A river otter is used to hunting crayfish and turtles, not so much used to crabs or sea urchins or other prey that sea otters are very adapted to hunting. So a river otter potentially could adapt to a more coastal region, but they're just better adapted towards their river living. Taryn asked if otters will stay with their mother after they're fully grown. They typically will actually move away from their mother. That could be anywhere from 6 to 8 months old when they leave their family and kind of strike off on their own. And that's a really good natural instinct for them to have because it helps to prevent incestual breeding from occurring within their environment. So they'll naturally, when they're adults, kind of go off and find their own territory to hunt in and their own mate. Savannah asked if otters really have a favorite rock, and they do. Now, this is something that happens with sea otters. They actually have an extra flap of skin underneath their arms, which kind of acts as like a little built-in pocket. So they'll find a rock that's really strong and dense and that they like a lot and kind of store it in that skin pocket. And then when they find a sea urchin or a clam or a crab that they need a little extra help breaking that shell open, they'll pull out their favorite rock and they'll crush it against the sea urchin on their belly so that they can open it and get the food out. So they do have a favorite rock that they normally tote along with them. Katie asked if otters will really hold hands when they're sleeping, and this is something that they do. It's really cute. So they'll lock their paws together when they go to sleep or when they're resting because it helps the tides and the currents to not pull them apart from each other, especially when they're sleeping. Otters are also known for tying themselves in some kelp to kind of form a little raft and a little tie so that they won't be pulled out to sea if they're sleeping. And a group of resting otters is actually called a raft. Blaine asked, why are they so cute? So the reason they're so cute to us is it's that fluffy fur, those watery eyes, and the long whiskers. It just makes them come off super cute and kind of look like a little stuffed animal, even though they do not have the personality of a friendly, fluffy puppy dog like you might think that they might. Emery asked if I could include some audio of their cute little chirps. So I'm actually going to show you this video that I took of a baby otter at a zoo that I used to work at. It's not typical for an otter to be held as this one is, because normally they're very temperamental and feisty, but this was a young otter and he needed a little more help from his zookeeper, so that's why he's being held. But he's chirping throughout the video, which is really, really cute.
Oh my goodness.
Lauren asked if there are any states in which you can have otters as pets. Now, there are some states that don't directly have laws against, say, Asian small-clawed otters being pets, but Asian small-clawed otters are actually listed as vulnerable in the wild. So there aren't really any good avenues for acquiring an otter as a pet, because if you manage to get a hold of an Asian small-clawed otter as a pet, it probably came from an illegal avenue. So it's not really something I would support, but if you really want to be around otters or find a way to help otters, you can become a wildlife rehabilitator for river otters, and then you can have a license to work with otters and actually be helping the species out. There are avenues for being around otters, such as going to see them at a zoo, supporting a zoo that takes really good care of their otters and might offer you an encounter with those otters, and that way you could meet them up close. Now, I know that video of that pup was super cute and it might have you really wanting a sea otter or a river otter as a little pet, but remember, that is a young animal, and just like a tiger cub might be really cute as a tiger cub, it's cute because it's a cub, and when they grow up they get a different personality. And remember, otters are related to wolverines and to badgers. They're not really a cute cuddly animal. They're feisty and they're playful and they have a strong bite, so they're not going to make great pets, but they are incredible animals worth protecting and appreciating. Thank you again to everyone who submitted questions for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Please share it, and if you send it to your Instagram story or your Facebook story, make sure to tag me in it so then I can repost it onto my story and share that you tagged me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.